Okay, so today we are going to be going over the opportunities pipeline in Command and just kind of from start to finish um, how to drag all of your transactions through and just kind of see your pipeline, different things you can do with that. You've got checklists that you can put in there. You have different percentages so it can calculate and just kind of guesstimate how much you're going to make off of these transactions. So we're going to go over all of that. And feel free to interrupt me at any time if you've got questions. If you put them in the chat, I'm probably not going to check it because I'm going to be sharing my screen for a lot of this. But just feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and interrupt me. So without further ado, let me share my screen here. Okay, so we're going to start off in Command. We're just on the home page here, and we're going to go down to these little shaking hands here. If you didn't know, if you click this little KW at the top, it tells you what everything is too. I just kind of have the images memorized, but if you didn't know, you can do that. So we'll go to opportunities. So this is where we're going to be working today. So you see there's three little lines here, three little pipelines, and they all look pretty similar. Listings and buyers are going to have these same categories here. And leases, that's going to be pretty similar. Whoops. There's a couple things that are different. So instead of under contract, it's going to be pending. And that's about it. These you can't change, these words here. When we get in there and start looking at subcategories, those you will be able to change. But while we're here, while we're just doing a little overview, I'll go over some of that with you. So this is how many people I'm cultivating for a listing. These are people who haven't signed anything with me yet. I'm hoping that they do at some point. We'll get into that a little bit more, but you can see I've got 7 in that. And I don't have any active or under contract listings here. This closed section, that is, I'm not exactly sure. It's a couple weeks maybe to 30 days. It resets them after a little bit. So it's not that I've never closed anything here or there. It's just it resets after a little bit. And then buyers, you can see I'm obviously a little more buyer heavy here. It tells me how many individual transactions I've got in each one. The volume, as long as I've entered that, it's only as accurate as you make it, right? So it's got the volume of the transactions, the average time that it thinks it will take me to close. And then if you see over here, this GCI is based on percentages that you input and also the volume that you input for each transaction. It says potentially I could get this much, probably I'm going to get this much because those probability percentages increase the closer you get to close, which makes sense. Leases, that's going to be the same thing. I don't really deal with leases, so I don't click on these too much, but it's pretty similar to the listings and the buyers here. At the bottom, there's just a little chart, and this isn't how many transactions you've closed. This is just how many opportunities you've put in your timeline, or I'm sorry, in your pipeline. You got a little graph over here. Not sure why the all opportunities is the same color as the leases over here. You think they'd make that a different color, but this is all opportunities. If you click here, I can go ahead and filter that further if I just want to see listings, if I just want to see buyers. Obviously, we're in a pretty buyer heavy market right now. And then landlords and tenants, I don't have any of those. So take a look at the statistics there that it's calculated. I've got a ratio. I have 21% listings and 79% buyers. That is actually really helpful. I had somebody who was interviewing me the other day because they had 3 or 4 different buyer agents that they were going to go with. And one of their questions was, so how much business do you do as far as sellers versus buyers is concerned? And there's my statistic as of right now, right here. Closings this month. I actually have 2 closings tomorrow, but I haven't inputted them in there, so it's not showing me anything. Again, it's one of those, it is what you make it sort of things. So the more information you put in, the more information you're going to get out of it. Now up here, we can go to create an opportunity. There's a couple different ways you can do this, but we're going to start here. This is, let's say I just got off the phone with an old friend and she wants to use me to help her purchase a home. Cool. Well, she's an old friend. I probably already have her name in here. I am using an actual person here. So here are all of my stuffs, my Stevens, my Stephanies, and my stuffs. I select whoever it is. If she has a co-seller, I type it in there. And right now I've got it selected. It defaults to listing. I'm going to go to buyer because she's a buyer. If she was listing, I'd keep it there. You'll notice some of these change when I do that. See, the time frame goes away. Some of these change. I'm going to stick with buyer. And the only things that are required are the things with the little red asterisk next to them. So just these here. Commission rate, 3%, opportunity stage. This is this opportunity phase. These are the buckets that you see here. When we click on that, they're going to be subdivided into extra categories. So if I maybe I already made an appointment with her. So I go to the appointment stage and have I scheduled it? Am I at the initial appointment or have I kept it? Well, if I just got off the phone with her, I probably just scheduled it. And then this is all for my information. I can add tags like you do in contacts. I can estimate approximately when she's going to close. And I can put the time frame of how far out it is that she's looking. And then I would just click create. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want an extra one in there right now. But when I do that, it's going to take me into here. So let's take a look at what happens when we create one. So it plops it wherever it went. I think I said appointment and then scheduled. So it has a little card for you here. If you click here on the name, you can see any and all of the information that you've entered. So once you get here, you can actually click these little pencils to edit things too. If it's a seller and you know, obviously the address, you can input all that information. Or if maybe they, I don't know why, but they call you, they have their eyes on a specific property and somehow miraculously you're able to secure it immediately. You can put that here. You can always come back later and do that as well, whatever property it is they're interested in. And you just fill these out. So if I click on this little pencil, here are all of the different things I can do that I can fill out. Obviously, it's not going to prompt me to save because I haven't typed anything in there. We'll click cancel on that. So when I go back to the pipeline, we'll get into these in a little bit here. When I go back to the pipeline, oops, she was under appointment. Now I can drag these around, and actually this guy I need to drag around because I have him, he signed all my documents, and he's now active. We're actively looking at homes. So in this particular column, he's got this checklist. Set a reminder, edit that, see what it is, send reminder to buyer about upcoming appointment. Okay, I already did that. Get signatures on any, I'm gonna edit, get signatures on any buyer docs. Okay, I did that as well. So I'm gonna click check on that. And you'll notice if I do edit that, I can send them a client update.
Heather, can I ask you a question on those tasks?
Yeah, go for it.
That you have for him?
Mm-hmm.
Do they show up on your main page like the other tasks do when you log in?
No.
No?
Unless I set a due date. So I don't have any due date for any of these, so I don't have any tasks set up there.
Okay.
But you can, that's a good question. You can do that right here. I can have, okay, that's due by a certain day at a certain time, and click OK.
Okay.
And then this other thing here, this client update, if I check that and I have their email in the system already, what that will do is at the beginning of every day, that is going, I think it's the beginning of every day, but it's at a set time every day. It will send them a really nice email that says, hey, we're working hard for you. Here are the things your agent has completed for you today. And it just has a little checklist. Anything that you checked off, they get an email about that day. And that can be helpful too. I mean, not to brag really, but they want to know that you're working for them and you're not just like sitting back drinking martinis or something, right? So that's really helpful. And the thing is too, you can decide, okay, well, maybe I wanted to let him know that I got signatures. Not that you would, but let's say I wanted to let him know that I got signatures, but I didn't want to let him know about this reminder I had to set. Okay, well then I just click this one and not that one, and then those will save. But I'm going to uncheck that because I don't want to send him an email about that. And at any time you can click view opportunity details. That just takes us right back to this page. Oops. Oh, that's the thing I should show you, I guess. If you click on this, this is his contact information. So his phone number and his email. If I click go to contacts, that's going to take me to his contact card in contacts. So I'll go back here again, go find him. Okay, so he's right here. You'll notice I've completed 2 out of 2 tasks. Here, it says that there are 4 tasks. If I drag this over, now I have 4 tasks to complete for him here. So if I click that, okay, he signed the EPA, he signed the agency disclosure, I've created a search for him. Haven't yet confirmed the pre-approval. I got to do that later today. I don't need to update him on any of that, so I'm not going to. And I can add an item. Adding an item is just going to be specific to, in this case, Harold. Okay, so if I type something in here, that's going to be specifically for Harold. It's not going to add to Laura down here. If I do want to, you'll notice it defaulted to those 4 items. If I want to have one that just makes it for this category, see now Steph also has 4. I go up here to edit stages. What was I just in? Kept. Yeah. So you can see the checklist is 0 out of 4 items. If I click that and add an item, I don't know what else. I'm just gonna put something else. Save. Save. Now it's out of 5 items. And if I go back to buyer's appointment, okay, so it hasn't refreshed yet, but it should show 5 items there. Might just take a minute to load. But I'm going to go back here and get rid of that because I don't actually want to make something else an action item. Sure you want to delete this item? Yes, delete. Save. Okay, so that's how you would go in and edit those checklists. Do you have questions about that, specifically about the checklists? Just while we're talking about it. Okay.
Can you change the name of the, so that's exactly what I've been trying to figure out how to do, how to add a checklist to each different stage.
Mhm.
But you can't change the name of your stages, can you? Like what I'm looking at right now on mine says searching, showing, negotiations, legacy. Like is legacy once it's done?
I don't know what legacy is, to be honest with you. And I have removed it. I think I read one time what it was, and I just don't remember. I remember thinking, oh, that doesn't apply to me. And then I just kind of like blocked it out of my head. But if you notice, when I go to active, I do have that legacy. You can go in here, edit stages, legacy. I can just delete that. But I've done that
Okay.
before and it pops back up, which is why I still have that in there. But I'm just going to go ahead and it says it's irreversible, but I'll delete it. Now it's showing that it's not there. Yeah, and it took it out. So that's how you would get rid of that.
Okay. So under each thing, like cultivate, there are stages under cultivate, then appointment, there's stages under appointment. And then under each stage in appointments, you can have a separate checklist.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you go to edit stages up here,
Yeah.
you can add extra stages if you'd like to.
Okay.
So add a stage up here. And you're going to have to enter, this isn't the best one because this is the appointment stage. I'm going to go to a different one just because there's not as much to do in that stage. So active. So I'm searching for homes, showing them homes, and negotiations. Let's say I want to add, I don't know, paperwork. Like, have I filled out all the correct paperwork? When they're in this stage, how probable is it that they're going to make it all the way to the closing table? That's what this probability is for.
Okay.
So you can guess at that. You can go back and run numbers from previous clients. Let's say it's 50%. In which position, that's what order is it going to appear in? So 1, 2, 3, we're just going to go ahead and put it at 4.
Okay.
as you create that, you can also create the checklist here. So maybe I want to have lead-based paint. And
Okay.
maybe I want that to automatically be a client update too. So you see this little email icon next to it, means they're going to get an email as soon as I check off that we've done the lead-based paint disclosure.
Okay.
If I don't want it to be a client update, I just uncheck that. It gets rid of the email.
Okay.
So then I can go ahead and, okay, sellers disclosure. I can add as many as I want here. I mean, there might be a maximum, but you can add quite a few of them. And then you just click save. And now I've got this extra stage here of paperwork.
Is there a stage for accepted offer?
There is, if you go to under contract, there's escrow, but you can make it whatever you want. And mine is no longer the presets because I went in and changed everything.
Okay.
So I've got escrow. There could be an accepted offer stage.
Okay.
You could make this paperwork an accepted offer stage. You could really make it whatever you want. And I did this. I went in and organized all this. Really, I think it was during the lockdown last year around this time, just because I had the extra time. So I wanted to go in and get everything organized. And now it's not as applicable. So there are definitely things I would like to change around, and I can. I just haven't had the time to.
So
Okay, but what we cannot change under both listings and buyers where I don't know the difference between the stages and all this, but where it's cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed for listings, like that can't change. We can just edit the stages underneath that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the subcategories you can edit and change and add to and delete. These top ones you can't.
Okay.
how do we get it to go from active to under contract?
What do you mean?
The buyer, how do we move that from active to under contract?
I will show you. So let's go back to my example over here. Because Harold is all done here, we're actively looking for homes for him. So I'm going to just click this and watch my cursor turn into a little grabby hand. No, it didn't. Oh, there it goes. So now it's a little fist, it's grabbing it, and I just drag it into this active. Opportunity has been updated. And then now he's here.
With a whole new set of to-dos that you made. Okay, I've been wanting this for so long. Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's great. It's just like taking a sticky note and dragging it along a board. So we are in the process of actually showing homes right now, going out and looking at them. And sometimes it takes a minute to update, but oh, it didn't. Okay, so create a loop for him in dot loop and get a photo of his EMD. That's what I have in here. And obviously we're focusing more on Ernest now, but I had made this back when we were doing EMDs more. He is not comfortable with technology though, so I think I'm actually going to keep him with getting a photo of the EMD. I'm not going to change that. And it could be for Teresa here, I may have just added in, yeah, so I added an item specifically for her about Ernest. So that's why she has 3 and these 2 only have 2. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So once these go under contract, then I'm going to go ahead and drag them over to negotiations. We're just going to continue on with Harold here. And you can see that updated to 7. I have 7 things to do now. So for me, what I have done is put in the documents that I need to get signed to make sure that I get them over to the other agent for the offer. So I got pre-approval letter, purchase agreement, EMD, seller's disclosure, lead-based paint, blah, 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 blah. So I can check those off. And then, as we go along, it gets accepted. I just continue dragging. It didn't work that time.
So if you were inactive in negotiations and you checked off all of those things because you wrote him an offer,
Mhm.
didn't get the house, so
Mhm.
then you would move it back when you're under active. Can you go back to active? So you would have had him in negotiations, checked off all those things because you had all those things for the offer. Now you suddenly move him back to still showing. When you get him back to writing another offer, do those checklists, I mean, are they already checked off? Or
I
are they
think so.
from the previous offer, or is it gonna come back again because you moved him back and
I think it stays with whatever was checked, but let's find out. So I just checked off 4 of them when I went over here. Let's drag it back. Yeah, and it still has 4 checked.
Okay, which that's fine. You can figure, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you could just uncheck them then before you drag him backwards. Yeah. So we just keep dragging along. And then, like I said, drag, drag, drag. When you get to this closed here, there is no closing date currently assigned to this property. Please confirm a closing date. So I haven't done that with these two who are actually supposed to close tomorrow. I scheduled their closing. Yep. So I can show you that right now. Move to closed. And this is a newer feature that I don't love because I don't know why that date is in there. Because I don't think it lets you go over here until it's actually closed. Because I have like a day of closing checklist that's very detailed. Let's see here. Let's go to, oh, it's March. Yeah, so it won't let me have the closing date be tomorrow. Which I don't love that, but I don't know why they did that actually. Okay, so here's Marie. I'm gonna move her to close.
Stage that is day of closing stage between under contract and closed.
Between, say that again.
Could you add a stage between under contract and closed
Yep. Yeah.
that is day of closing?
Yeah, you can do that. That's a good idea. And then you don't move them over here till they're actually closed. Because I do have at closing and then post closing. And then again, this legacy, I don't know what that is. I think actually it might be the listing one where I have a whole bunch of different checklists for at closing. Like I said, I still need to go in. I want to play around with this and make it more organized for how I want it. Again, when I get some time there. But then this date now says their closing date. I should change that because their closing date is tomorrow. And I know that a lot of other offices do use this for compliance. So instead of submitting a green sheet, they would just go ahead and take everything through opportunities and make sure that everything is accurate in there. And I'll show you in a minute how we can associate documents with it as well.
We're gonna do that, and my guess is we'll still get there someday.
Someday.
It was supposed to be what, a year and a half ago that we were supposed to move all the way to this?
Yeah, I came in September of 2019, and they're saying, well, yeah, learn Dotloop, but we're going to go to DocuSign really
Right.
shortly here. I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't even learn Dotloop, but then, it's a year and a half later. So just a little behind, but that's all right. Yeah, so I like that idea of just putting an extra at closing right after here. So then you don't have to actually have them closed. Okay, do you guys have questions about how to drag this all back and forth? Anything on this? You can do it as a board view also, or I'm on the board view. You can do it as a list view if you prefer to see them this way. Personally, I like the board view because I like to drag them along. But.
If I were to take the time and set it all up like you have with all the different stages and all the different tasks, can you share what you have made with somebody else? Like for my team, so I could have their command set up with all the same tasks and everything?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
It might be possible through Teams. When I did this, they didn't even have the team functionality rolled out yet. So I didn't really look into it any further, but that's a good question. I can find out the answer for that for you.
Okay.
It could be too, if you're on a team and you're registered as a team in Command, if you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, it'll say your name with a picture. And drop down, it should say you have the ability to switch between your team and personal. I'm just a solo agent, so I only have personal.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of confusing to me because sometimes like I can't see things that I know are in there because they're registered to one or the other. It's interesting.
Okay.
I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I wish that I had the functionality where I was able to see like team view, but I don't, since I'm a solo agent, I can't, because that's how I learn best, is just clicking around and figuring stuff out, but can't do that.
Right.
But I would, if I were you, I would just try to see, if you're in your Teams functionality, if you could click on that and then organize these and then see if the other people on your team are able to see that in that view. I would think that they would be able to.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% on that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions about this screen? Okay, then we are going to go into how to create loops through this. And let me make a good example of this. Let's see, who do I need to do loops for? These people all have loops. Okay, she doesn't. So we're going to open up this client's information. And like I said, you can edit anything in here that you want to. We have a meeting on Monday, so I'll be able to fill out more of that then. But in the meantime, I do know that I'll want her to sign some documents. I'll want her to sign the buyer agency agreement and the disclosure regarding real estate relationships. So if I go over to documents, I can go up here to start a transaction. And if I click this down arrow, you have an option. It's hooked up to both DocuSign and dotloop. And just a reminder, we will be transitioning over to DocuSign this summer. However, in the meantime, we're still using dotloop. So I'm going to go ahead and click dotloop. Remember, you can choose just one template. So she can't be a listing template and a purchase template. Well, it's purchase, so I'm going to click that. Choose dotloop template. It's thinking over here. You can see it spinning. Okay, there we go. So I've got you guys in the way here. You probably can't see it, but I've got the little bar for Zoom that's blocking all of my tabs here, not letting me click on anything. There we go. Okay, we'll just do that. So then I have to go to dotloop, since I have these two synced up already. There it is. That was not there before. This is brand new. So I just created this loop, and it selected all of this information based on what it knows already in command. So in here, I had that information. I had that she's approved up to 200, and it just automatically filled in the purchase template. So if I had had a closing date, it would have put that in there. And then I can just click on that, and it has all my documents right here. So that's kind of a nice way to link the two of those together.
Heather,
Yep.
I'm sorry to have so many questions.
Oh, no, it's great.
I do not have that option. When I go to a buyer and I hit documents,
Mm-hmm.
I have the option, well, shoot, I had start, like whatever it started first, like now it says go to transaction, but it does not give me the option to choose between DocuSign and dotloop. It only goes straight to DocuSign.
I bet I know the reason why. I probably have already linked that, and you and probably other people on this call haven't yet. So we're going to take a little detour for a minute here. If you go up to your name, click on settings. In here, it will say your connected apps. So I have both DocuSign and dotloop connected,
Okay.
and the email address with which I have them connected. Do you have both of those there as well?
I only have DocuSign even in my applications. Dotloop is not even an option to try to connect.
Okay, then let's go up here to connect more apps.
Okay. I hope I'm not hijacking this call from others.
No, they'll ask questions if they've got them, and I'm sure other people have this question. I always used to tell my students when I was a teacher to not be afraid of that, because other people are just too scared to ask the same question. They might have the same question you do. Don't even worry. So here we go. So I typed in dotloop, click search, and here it is.
Just click on it.
Yep, just click on it. Mine is already installed, so I only have view profile. I don't know that that's going to be much help to you. I believe it should be free still, is it?
I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping I'll just be able to sign into it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So mine just has manage app and take the tour. I guess I don't know what yours looks like.
It's free. I'm kind of buying it right now.
Okay.
I think.
So then once those two are connected, then when we go into opportunities, whoops, I guess I could click that link. Then you should have the ability to do both.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a great question because I'm sure other people had the same issue there. And I was just thinking, no, this is what I do. So, okay. So under here, it shows you, okay, so for under contract, here are the different forms, all of the ones that I just showed you in dotloop. And honestly, at this point in time, I don't do a whole lot with them just because for our compliance, we haven't been using command. I would think this is a section that we will need to be more familiar with in the future, especially after we transition over to DocuSign. But as of right now, I don't know that this is necessarily useful. I mean, you could learn it and then you're not gonna need it for a few months. So. And then close documents. So that is how you link them, and that's how you would just create a new dot loop or a loop in dotloop through that, which can just save you a couple minutes of time, I would say. And then I've got a DocuSign training later today. I would imagine it's pretty similar. I have not messed around with DocuSign at all, but I would imagine that's a pretty similar process. Buyer profile, this is just going to tell you if the client is associated, if they've registered either with your app or your website and created an account, then they will have access. You can see what they're doing here, and then you will also see how much of your guide, there's a guide in the app and website where they can check off different steps and you can check off different steps. You two kind of share that like a Google Doc almost. So it would say that down here, but she has not downloaded that. She hasn't created an account, so I don't have any information here. Over here on offers and commissions, if you wanted to, you could keep track of every single offer that you make for this person. So if it's, I mean, it is that sort of market. And if it's the case where you're making 7 offers, you could go back and see, well, we did this with this offer, just extra record keeping, I guess. So you can create an offer, call it something, and then it just kind of walks you through everything here. This hooks into the KWLS, which is Keller Williams version of the MLS. It's on this listings tab over here. So sometimes you can just find them right in there. And then with the parties, okay, that's gonna make me select something. You can put in all the information for the seller, the buyer, and then the agents, the terms of the agreement. It'll just walk you right through that. So it'll all just fill everything out. This is helpful for if you're representing a seller, because you can go in and do the same thing. I'm in the buyer tab right now, but if you do the same thing under seller, you can go in and maybe you got 5 offers. If you got 20 offers, it's probably going to be a lot of time, which you may or may not want to spend. But let's say you got 5 offers. You can go in and detail all of that. And then at the end, create an agent analysis. So you can tell your client, okay, well, here are the pros and cons of each of these. And this offer is stronger because of this. This offer is weaker because of this. And just have a really nice, concise way to show them the offers that they have. So it's that tab. If you wanted to type any notes about this particular transaction, you can do that here. It's just going to save notes here. So then you can click on that and see and edit it if you need to. That's probably, I would say, more helpful with Teams, because then people can go in, or if your transacting coordinator or something has access to that, they can go in and read that. I don't ever use it. I'm just going to delete it. And then timeline. So this is everything that you've done with this particular transaction. So you'll notice today is the 11th. I've done a lot of stuff, just checking things, unchecking things, starting a dot loop transaction. I checked some things off earlier. So if you just want to see what you did and when, you can do that there. Client updates. So these are those emails I was talking about when you've checked a couple things off the list and you want to send it to them. You would click send daily progress emails for this opportunity. Oh, you can select the time. And send from owner is me. If you're on a team, you might have multiple options there. And send it to my client and also send it to me if I want a copy. If I don't want a copy, just uncheck that. I can add a contact. So if I want to update the lender as well or the title company, I could do that. And then if you preview this template, this is what it looks like. So here's you, it says KW, dear whomever, we're checking things off the list. Here's a summary of tasks we've completed for, and then that's the property address. Checklist item 1, 2, 3, buyer side at every step, me. And then they give you a little thing to download their app there. I don't think these are the actual images they use. So I wonder if there's something up with that right now. I don't think there's usually that black background. We are not going to send progress emails for now. I'll just cancel changes. Settings is going to take me into here. And that's just some more stuff on the client updating there. A lot of that is similar. Select the marketing profile you wish to send emails from. Well, I only have one marketing profile, so that's my only option. Client and co-client if there's two separate people on the transaction, or you can send it to only the primary client. Obviously, if you only have one client, that's not going to matter. And also send to the owner of the transaction, so that's me. And then preview. So I don't know why they have two separate places where that's located, but they do. Let's leave that. Where was she? Appointment. So, what else do I need to tell you here? Oh, if something fell through, you can click this lost opportunity and it will archive them. There's an opportunity ID. I'm not sure what that's for. There's a link there, but yeah, so I think that's about it. If you go to the, I know we were just working the buyer's side here, but if we work on the listing side, same sort of thing. So Eunice I talked to recently, she's going to, what I do here is how far away they are from listing their house or deciding to buy. And I know it says something along the lines of like cold, warm, and hot or something like that for leads. I think very like spatially, and I don't know. For me, it works better. How far out are they? 12 plus months, 4 to 12 months, or 0 to 3 months? Because the things that I check off the list are going to be different depending on that. So that's just what I do. And this is, again, same sort of thing as the buyer side. You will notice at the bottom here, those percentages that we talked about earlier, that's what contributes to this probable. You're making $300. Potentially, you're making $6,000. For Taylor here, I don't know what it is that she's going to, like what the value of her home is. So I didn't put that in there. So it says $0. So it's not registering that. Obviously, it would be more than $0. And then up here, that's where they get that percentage. So this has a 5% probability of closing, according to command. And you can change that. This has a 7%, this has a 10%. So then the more we go here, 10, 30, 40, 45, 50, 70, 80, 90, 90, 90, 90. And then obviously 100 once you've closed it. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the long and short of it. What questions do you guys have? Oh, I know. I haven't shown you this all opportunities. So this is if you wanted to look back on all of your transactions after Like I said, I haven't figured out exactly how many days it is before it disappears from this closed thing, but a couple weeks later when it does disappear, you can still find it by going to all opportunities here. So if I wanted to search for something last July, oh, this one that she put in for him. I could go to spring. Let's do Spring Avenue. That was last April. Okay, that's the name, that's the address. It was assigned to me. That might be useful again if you're on a team and you don't remember who did that transaction. It would tell you right here. He was a buyer. It's closed. Here was the volume. Here's the commission. That doesn't take into account whether or not you cap. It's just the 3%, the date that it was closed. So you have all of your opportunities right here. You could also sort by opportunity, assignee, contact. That's the name of the buyer or seller. And then you have other filters over here too. So which market center? Obviously, that's the only one I'm associated with. You can include the archived ones, which opportunity phase did it get to, or all of the above. You can check them all off. Who's the contact owner? You can search by any of those filters or just clear them. So if you're familiar with Command and familiar with the Contacts tab, this is going to look very similar to that, with obviously slightly different filters than Contacts has. But clear them all, apply. Oh, it's still just showing me his address. Okay, I had to click that X there. So here is where all of them are, whether or not they closed. And you can sort them. That is how they are sorted right now. So all the closed ones are at the top. I could click that and it'll flip it. So my active, it's just alphabetical. So active, appointment, closed. By volume. So if you want to see what the most volume you ever did or the least amount of volume you ever did is, you can do that there. It's not letting me click it right now for some reason. Type of listing. So if you want to see all your buyers first, and then I'm only showing 25 right now. Let's show 50. Buyers and listings. If you want to sort it by address, you could do that. By closing date, you could do that. Yeah, so it's pretty handy, I think, just for for your own records, your own information. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm leaving out here. Again, this GCI is just based on whatever you input as far as volume and then the percentages. Yeah, that's about it. Questions? No?
I think of any.
All right. Well, if you do think of any, you have my information. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now. Thank you if you're watching in YouTube land.